Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum. And in Mechabellum, there's some games that you know that'll go beyond round 10. There's some other games that you have to end before it reaches a certain round, otherwise you'll lose. And this is one of those games. Let's go. At the bottom here, I am playing as a fortified specialist, and I am up against a giant specialist, a 201 player, and his name roughly translates into the first place of the stupidity contest. Alright, I started off with sledgehammers and marksman up against tarantula and a bunch of crawlers. Now, whenever I see tarantula into sledgehammers, just remember that in a 1-to-1 fight, your sledgehammer can actually survive. Almost survive, rather. Depends on your positioning. And your sledgehammer actually takes a little bit longer to kill than the tarantulas, being with 5 units and just a lot of HP. Alright, both of us are being positioned in a asymmetrical order. I purposely put my sledgehammers in a vertical setup so that it chaff clears a little better, knowing that there's going to be a lot of crawler. I've also added arc lights instead of getting chaff of my own, because there is a couple ways to start this sort of fight, right? Either you expect your opponents to go with marksman or expect them to go with just a lot more chaff. If I were my opponent, I actually would go with more chaff. So, because I realize how bad sledgehammers are when it comes to chaff clear. Alright, round 2, we have a unit drop. Triple fan is offered. I sorely need some chaff, so that was a no-brainer. My opponent also decided to take triple fans. For me, I just wanted the fans to stand in front of the sledgehammers a little bit longer, providing a bit of chaff. For my opponent, it is a very different kind of thinking. It's instead going to be behind the tarantulas. If you're new to Mechabellum, one of the easier tricks to remember is that if you want to have better chaff clear with the sledgehammers, put them vertically, because it forces each individual unit of sledgehammers to shoot at a different interval so that they will avoid overkilling these chaff units. And they don't shoot very fast. They only shoot once every 4.5 seconds. So this is a great way to get more value out of a 200 unit. All right. So looking at my board, I think on the surface, there's nothing wrong with it. But because my opponent is giant spec, there was always the potential. You see these spots right here? There's always a potential of him just all of a sudden going to put 3 fortresses. And that's when things get really hairy. A fortress, tarantula, asymmetrical push is extremely dangerous. And it's definitely not something a couple sledgehammers are able to contest comfortably, if it's even possible. So I was very aware of that in the very beginning. Now, I didn't know at this point that my opponent was going to choose the triple fans. I thought it might go with the stone crawlers, which was also a option in the drop. Stone crawler would have given him a little bit more tempo, but the triple fans screams a sort of a late game 4 fan carry, especially on the line. All right, he decided to add even more fans after getting triple fans to a total of 5. And he is floating some money, and just like that, round 2 decided to unlock fortress. All right, on my side, I've just added 1 sledgehammers, 1 pack of crawler, and used my fans to do the tanking. But for now, things are still looking pretty good for me. My marksmen are still locking onto this tarantulas, no problem. Alright, but at this point, I was very clear what the plan was for my opponent. We're already at round 2, which means at round 3, he will get 600 supplies. That's enough for at least 1 fortress. And if he saved money, which he did this round, he can also take a loan and get a 2nd fortress. So I needed to have an answer for that. First, let's talk about the reinforcements. All of these look fine. I think improved sandworm jumped out of me because I wanted to since we're already on the line, so it's going to get a lot of value and just get into the fight right away. But what I was really concerned about this round was that he's going to add 2 fortresses. So never mind about the hackers for now. Let's just kind of walk through my train of thought here. I thought it was going to go fortress, so I said, you know what? If you're going to go fortress, I need to have a way to prepare for that right away. And that means I can't let your fortress or let your fence level too quickly. And I've decided to put down 2 packs of steel balls. I think my chaff clear was okay at this point. I think I'll probably get through the initial chaff. And with the steel balls, I might be able to get a head start into this headbutt. So that's what it went. So you can guess my face when I saw those 2 hackers. It was completely out of the ordinary. There's no real reason for a giant spec to go hackers in this round. I mean, I guess it makes sense. I have a lot of medium units. We're on the line. It's got a lot of chaff, right? Lots of fans. You can certainly go with hacker. But I thought for sure a fortress pivot will be coming in round 3. I mean, let us know in the comments. Was I overreacting, or was my opponent just playing weird? So now that I know the hackers are into play, my plan didn't change too much, because I know when you're going up against a giant spec in a headbutt situation, the longer you let the game continue, the less likely you're going to win, because he will just simply have more access to more variety of stuff in the later games. All right, so that was a massive fail, having the steel balls into hackers. But the upside of that is that at least I know my opponent is not going fortress yet. Now, we do have efficient giant manufacturing, which means you could take that card and start producing cheaper fortress. I took the efficient giant manufacturing because I thought I was going to go with improved sandworm at some point. Now, looking at the board here, maybe that was a little wishful thinking. A couple problems I need to deal with. One, these hackers are a problem. Started selling my steel balls right away because just no way I can leave them on the board. 2, I need to have more damage out here, right? Not just enough damage to get through these tarantulas, because I still believe at some point there's going to be fortress. It's just too good. Like, this is already set up for them. You put a fortress right here, you put a fortress right here, right? It's just a beautiful board. So having Stormcallers is, with Launcher Overload, gives me that necessary firepower that I need. And later on, if I want to go with Sandworm, I can, because it's just a big shield, a big meat shield that's standing in front. And I'm also looking at a round count. We're already at round 4, which means I probably have about 2 rounds of manageable rounds left before I get completely overwhelmed. So I've decided, let's go a little harder with the aggression. Let's play for tempo, even though this tempo-based board might fall apart the moment that like 3 forts with shield comes out. But let's try to win the game before that happens. So this is a very risky play, it's a gambit, if you will. If I cannot kill my opponent in the next 2 rounds, then I'll probably lose the game. Alright, shield went down because I noticed the last game there was a missile that took out my initial chaff and allowed the hackers to get a lot of value. But this round, I decided to shield, and hackers hate shield. There's just not enough damage to pop the shield bubble on their own. And for my opponent, with just fans and tarantulas, it does not have a lot of damage either. The Stormcallers are doing a fantastic job of just clearing out everything here. Ooh, and that was a great round here, bringing my opponent's HP down to just around 1,000. Alright, final round. I'm very happy to see a tempo card, like the Underground Threat. What this card allows me to do is to be very cheeky and win that 1 round. And if I play it right, I could win that 1 round and essentially finish the game. So I never have to worry about any fortress play ever. And that's what I am betting my game on. In this turn, I've decided to take double tech on these crawlers. Last round, I've already had a crawler bordering these veins, and that should tighten them up quite a bit. I've decided to add even more crawlers on all sides. So we're going to have one here facing this squad of level 1 veins. We're going to have on the ground right in the back in the middle. My opponent also decided to take on the ground, but I don't think he was expecting this much aggression from me just on a single round with these crawlers. And besides, he has already double tech his fangs, so there's no reason to double tech another chaff unit. These do tend to get very expensive. And the first fortress did come down. So if I wait for one more turn, I may not, this plan may not have worked. All right, let's see if this pays off. All right, first of all, the crawlers are getting in. They are replicating, so they're creating a lot of chaff on their own. In the back line here, even though there was some defense, there's simply not enough defense because of my double tech crawlers. Tower gets quickly captured, and with the tower down, and with the replicate, because replicate also creates more crawlers, which also count towards the HP. Which is completely overwhelming my opponent with this tempo round. And this probably won't happen again if my opponent gets another round, because he simply puts down a few Vulcans and there's bye-bye crawlers. But because he wasn't prepared for it and the game didn't go to round 6 or above where the giant spec can really shine, I was able to seize the moment and get that tempo and win the game. So sometimes it's not always about getting that final, you know, polished, beautiful composition. Sometimes it's just about winning the game. And if you know you cannot win the late game with this kind of build, you have to close it off. With Giant Spec, this is pretty obvious. Both of us are headbutting on one side, and you got that best headbutting unit, Fortress, and can unlock them for free. And, you know, it's just generally a great card. So you want to finish that off against other specs like the Elite spec, which are really strong in the late game. You also want to do something like that as well. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see another video, here's one for you, and I will see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics, Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress, the battlefield's alive with swarms.